Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal with Nvidia Daily Analysis. We observed a volatility in Nvidia stock today as expected in my previous video. But good thing is Nvidia was able to close positive. In this video, we'll discuss how Nvidia can behave on elections day and after elections using the latest data and fundamentals. Now, let's get started. Starting with the daily summary, Nvidia opened at 137.21. It made a high 138.96. It made a low 135.57 and it closed at 136.05. That is 0.48% up. And after hours is down about 0.47%. And you can notice lots of ups and downs in today's Nvidia's movement. And sometime in the afternoon, it started going down. So before the elections, this kind of volatility is not a surprise to me. And also you can see this kind of volatility on other tech stocks as well. If we take a look at the other three major indices, they were all negative today. For example, S&P 0.28% down, Nasdaq 0.33% down, and Dow Jones 0.61% down. Moving on Nvidia, last 5 days, Nvidia is down about 2.99%. Last 1 month is still positive 8.91%. And if you take a look year to date, it's still positive 182.4%. And I still think that, after election, we might see a positive rally on Nvidia if everything goes well on elections day and after elections. And my maximum target for Nvidia before earnings is still 151. I'm still positive that Nvidia should be able to go around this level before the earnings. Now let's take a look forward P for Nvidia. Nvidia forward P at this point is at 43.61, slightly higher than last week, but no major change from Friday. Palantir 121.79, but after hours you see a big jump on Palantir because they reported better than expected earnings number. SMCI continues to go down. Right now the forward P is at 8.19, AMD 31.76, slightly lower than the last week closing. AMD forward P has never been that low in last 8 or 9 weeks. You see that? The lowest we saw that was 34.9 and that happened sometime in September. And this makes AMD a good buy if AMD goes further down below 30 forward PE. Now let's take a look quarterly percentage change analysis for Nvidia. Based on the cumulative percentage change, Nvidia is up about 16.58% from the previous earnings. We still have about 2 weeks when Nvidia report the next earning. So I see that still Nvidia has more potentials to go further up. My target is about 30% overall on cumulative percentage change. So still about 13 to 14% room for Nvidia to go further up. And this is based on the historical data as I showed you before. The last quarter Nvidia was up about 32% and 1 quarter prior Nvidia was up about 38% in that quarter. Now let's take a look technical charts for Nvidia and try to make some assessment. You see 180-day hourly interval chart for Nvidia and also the Fibonacci levels. So as we saw in my previous videos that the next level of resistance is 144.5 and that was all-time high. And the next level of support was 134.3 and I mentioned that this looks to me a strong support level. So you see that multiple times Nvidia tried to go further down but could not sustain it. And in my opinion, this week could be make or break for Nvidia before earnings because after elections, we'll see more clarity who is going to win the election and how will be the political situation after the elections. If the political situation is unstable after the elections, we'll know by the end of this week, and then you'll see more volatility and more downward pressure on Nvidia and overall market. But if everything goes well, I still think that Nvidia has the potential to break all-time high sometime later this week, early next week. Now let's take a look MACD chart. Let me make it bigger. So you see that MACD line is just slightly below the zero line, and that tells at this point we do not see any strong momentum on Nvidia on either side. So MACD chart does not tell much what's gonna happen. Now let's take a look at Bollinger Bands. And based on the Bollinger Band, you see that Nvidia stock chart is touching the lower band of the Bollinger Band, and that tells that the upward momentum is breaking, and overall we see some slowdown on Nvidia stock chart. You can notice starting from here, there was no strong momentum after that in last few days. And overall the trend was down, right? And looking at the Bollinger Bands, there is a possibility that Nvidia might touch this level, and that is 132, the previous bottom in last few days. You see? And if you go further down, you see the next bottom here, and that is around 130. But Nvidia chart was not able to go below 130 in last 2 or 3 weeks, you see? And that happened on 10/17. So and that validates my finding that 130 is a very good support level. If for some reason Nvidia goes down in next few days, probably 130 would make a very good buy for Nvidia. Now let's take a look some news and analysis for Nvidia from other sources. Starting with this one that says equity markets closed lower ahead of presidential election. So that's kind of expected because in my opinion, if you look at prior 2 or 3 elections, just before the election, we saw the volatility in the overall market. And I showed you the market behavior in previous elections in one of my previous videos. So if you are interested, you can watch that video and that will give you some good findings. You can find the link of that video in the description section of this video. Now let's take a look this one and that says Nvidia's Dow node is a plus, but this development could be an even bigger deal. Let's open it. So let's scroll down here and this says that he's referring to recent commentary from South Korean memory company SK Hynix, whose chief executive recently met with Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang and subsequently said Nvidia has asked the company to accelerate its technological ramp according to reports from Reuters and others. So the takeaway is that Nvidia needs SK Hynix to pull forward the launch and production of its advanced high bandwidth memory product to support Nvidia's new Blackwell lineup. So that's a good sign. So this looks to me that Mr. Jansen Huang does not want any delay on the production launch for Blackwell chip. So he's actively pursuing his suppliers to be proactive on supplying the products on time. And also, we saw that Nvidia gonna replace Intel to get included in Dow Jones Industrial Average, and that news was positive for Nvidia, and Nvidia went up after hours on Friday and also early this morning. but that upside probably was short lived and Nvidia started to go down sometime in the afternoon today. And this one is regarding Supermicro, and this says Supermicro stock had worst week on record. Why? That's a plus for Dell. So let's try to open it. So here you see the summary of this news that says, make no mistake, Supermicro is not just Dell competitor, it's a competitor for AI servers. So Dell gonna take advantage of this SMCI downfall. So that's good for Dell, at least for short term. I see more news and analysis regarding the same topic from other sources as well. For example, this one that says why Supermicro's losses could be a gain for Dell. So if I scroll down further for any other news regarding Nvidia, so far nothing much. So overall today nothing much regarding Nvidia because we see the elections coming and more focus on the election at this point. Hope everything goes well regarding elections and after elections. Now let's take a look other AI stocks. You see that most of the stocks on my watch list regarding AI or tech are negative today with the exception of Nvidia. And the highest negative is Palantir 1.22% down, but after hours you see that a big jump on Palantir from 41 to 47. Nvidia today closed 0.48% positive, and that's a good sign for Nvidia. And Nvidia managed to close positive today. That's 0.48% up. So that's not a bad performance from Nvidia compared with other AI stocks today. And regarding my position, you see that I bought Nvidia on Friday around 136.49. But since Nvidia stock was going down in the afternoon, I thought maybe a good opportunity to sell my stock because I might get a better buying price in next day or two because the slope was downward for Nvidia. So my decision to sell Nvidia around 138 probably was a good decision because at this point Nvidia is trading around 135.5. And regarding the economic data for this week, as I mentioned in my previous video, that there are multiple events this week that can impact Nvidia stock price movement. One is the elections and the political situation after election, and second one is the FOMC interest rate decision on Thursday. So that's all about Nvidia analysis and assessment for today and next few days. I'm more than positive that we can get a good buying price for Nvidia in next day or two. I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you more in the next video. Take care.